What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. Before I begin, let me say thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys allow me to make more and better videos. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, it's patreon.com/actionfiguregrader. I also did the drawing for the giveaway of the Duloc Scout Power of the Force kind of coin that came on the Ewoks card backs. That was kindly donated to the channel by Robert W. And the winner was That One Time. That One Time is a friend of mine, actually. He's got his own YouTube channel. Make sure to go check it out. That One Time. He's got a really incredible vintage Star Wars collection, and he's very knowledgeable. He knows a lot, especially about Luke's. And as I've always said, it doesn't matter whether you're a friend of the channel or whether you're brand new. Everyone's got an equal chance when it comes to my giveaways. So I did the drawing, and he won fair and square. So Justin, that is in the mail to you as of this morning. Let's go ahead and dig right in. I've got a pretty nice wide assortment of everything from ungraded mint on cards to graded mint on cards to a few loose graded figures. This one was kind of an interesting one. This was labeled a 12-back A, which I believe it is, 12-back A Tuscan Raider. And he said he called it an 80+ condition. And at first glance, it does look that way. I didn't notice this one. I just found this one in terms of completed listings. So I did not see this one when it was live, but it looks legit. It looks, 100% legitimate, but it only sold for $333. And I don't know why. I don't know if it just fell underneath, outside of the scope of most people's search. I don't know. But, here it looks like the cape for the Tuscan Raider has discoloration, right? But it could just be shadows, because if you look at this photo, it looks fine. So it just could be shadows in the photos. And he included a lot of photos. I mean, just a ton of different photos for it. So I don't know. I don't know why it sold for so cheap, but that's what it did. It sold for $333. And I think whoever got this, looks like they got a pretty good deal. You can see right here, there's some discoloration. Again, I don't know if that's from degradation or if that's just shadows. To me, that looks like degradation and would explain why the sale price was so low relative, for a 12-back Tuscan Raider. So right in here especially, it looks like there's discoloration, which that's what happens with a lot of these figures, especially the Tuscan Raider. The cloak turns it kind of degrades inside it. Even on the arm here, you can see some degradation potentially. So that's the only explanation I can come up with as to why this thing sold so cheap. And but nevertheless, I still think that even with that degradation, you're probably a 75-ish in terms of the overall for the grades. And $333 plus, let's call it $35 shipping. That's, let's call it $370. That's a pretty good deal for a 12-back Sand People. Here's another, on the other end of the spectrum. This is one that I think will go down as an overpay, in my opinion. This was a 12-back C3PO, but it was only an AFA 70. The card score was a 60, but 285 sub-scores admittedly. Here we go. But $14.90 on free shipping. No offense to whoever paid that, but that to me is a drastic overpay. I wouldn't have paid anywhere close to that price. You can see the damage on the card there. So I think it's graded correctly. It's got the 60 for the card score, but quite a bit of damage in that upper left-hand corner. But no way I'm paying $1,500 for that. I'm sorry. That's just that to me is too much. Here's another one. I thought it was a pretty good deal. This is a 12-back C Death Squad Commander AFA 80. You can see the sub scores there: 80, 85, 85, 12-back C Death Squad Commander. Beautiful condition, unpunched. Did have the Roses. I used to shop at Roses growing up. That was a great department store. I vividly remember going into Roses department store and finding rows of both G.I. Joes as well as Star Wars figures all the time. I just loved that store growing up. But anyway, this one sold for $10.25 on 29 bids with free shipping. That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal in my opinion for a 12-back C Death Squad Commander in high grade like that. Here was a Luke Skywalker loose graded at auction. It was sold. It was listed for the starting bid was like $139.9, I believe. It was an AFA 80+, which if you guys collect these white figures, how tough it is to find these in high grade. It's just really, really tough to find. It looked like a really nice condition, Luke Hoff though, and it sold for $143.50 on 3 bids. Pretty good deal in my opinion. Pretty good deal for an AFA 80 plus Hoff Luke Skywalker. Really nice figure there. New case. All right, this seller over in Poland had a number of vintage Star Wars Polish bootlegs for sale. This is a line that has grown in popularity over the last few years. I've got a number of examples in my collection. Jacob Brzezinski just came out with the 2nd volume of his guide to the unlicensed Polish Star Wars figures. It's a great guide. I haven't reviewed it on the channel or anything. I've just been too tied up to do it. I was hoping to pull out some of my collection and show the book along with some pages from the book, along with some figures from my collection. So I hope to do that at some point. I've just been tied up and I haven't done it. But anyway, this seller, I bought from this seller before. I actually bought my 1st generation Polish bootleg Boba Fett, as well as the unused card back from this seller. He's just always got beautiful mint figures. And this was a 1st generation unarticulated Imperial Gunner. Kind of had a weird pinkish kind of metallic quality to the paint. That could be the rubber underneath the silver. I don't know. It looks like a black rubber to me with silver and pink accents, metallic pink accents. So many different wacky colors for these figures, but these kind of static ones came out around 1985 as is perfectly labeled by the seller. That one sold for $137.50 plus $10 shipping. This Luke was a 3rd generation Polish bootleg Luke. This one had kind of the pinkish limbs. I don't have one with the pinkish limbs. I've got like 7 or 8 different Luke X-Wing Polish bootlegs, but this is one I don't have, and I'm kind of exhausted with bootlegs right now, so I haven't bought any lately. But this one was really nice condition. Again, it's a 3rd generation, which came out in like the mid 1990s, so it's a little bit easier to find these in mint condition, just because they were produced kind of after the heyday of Star Wars, and a lot of those were unplayed with condition. So that one sold for $172.50. He also had this one. This is one I have in my collection. This is the R2d2 First Gen, 1985. Again, there's no articulation to these. This has got a little bit different paint scheme than mine. Mine's got kind of I'm looking at it right now. This one's got, mine has a darker blue paint scheme. This is like a lighter blue. That one sold for $212.50. That's about triple what I paid for mine. Mine's CAS 80 grade. But one of the tougher ones to find. These the R2d2 Polish bootlegs are based on like the Spanish licensed PVC figures, and it's very similar in style to those. But those came out in about 1980, like early 1980s, 83, somewhere in there, 84. So these at least look like them. I don't know if I don't know if the Polish bootlegs are based on those PVC figures. My gut says they probably are, because they came out in Spain. But anyway, this is the Polish bootleg R2d2. Really cool figure. But $212.50 took that one home. Now this is an interesting one. This is one that was labeled as a 1st generation articulated, but a lot of the bootleg collectors were hesitant on this one. They thought that maybe this one had some repaint. I don't know for a fact on this. This is just what I heard from some of the other collectors. Really nice example though. The cape looks incredible on this Leia. She looks like Tammy down in Boca Raton and has been spending too much time in the tanning bed. But these figures, with these Leia figures, especially with the silver hair, tend to be really tough to find. You can see the oversized hands. Anyway, pretty cool figure. And but I did hear from a number of the Polish bootleg experts that they were worried a little bit that this one had a repaint on it. It was just too shiny. But I don't know. It looks legitimate to me. And this seller, is a pretty trusted Polish bootleg seller. So I would be really surprised if that was the case with this one. But what do I know? But anyway, it didn't stop the bidding though. It sold for $566 on 19 bids. $566 took that one home. It's listed as a 1st gen. I don't know about that. I mean, it could be a 3rd generation or a 2nd generation. I don't know. But pretty cool Leia figure, even though it's not the most attractive example. This one is the 3rd generation Polish bootleg Boba Fett. I've got a lighter gray version in my collection. This is the dark gray armor with the lime green or very light green chest armor. And there's 2 or 3 different iterations or variations for the 3rd generation Boba Fett, but this is a really nice example, and that one sold for $735. $735 took that one home. You can see the back here. This is a really nice example, though, of the 3rd gen Boba Fett. So back to licensed figures now. We've got a 41 back D Princess Leia in her Bespin outfit, Bespin gown. That was a yellow, very yellowed blister, but AFA 80 was the grade, unpunched, and that one sold for $750. That used to buy you a high grade Leia Bespin with a clear blister. Now that buys you a yellow blister apparently. So very nice item though. Here was one that I was watching closely. I thought about bidding on this one, but I held myself in check. But this was a beautiful Revenge of the Jedi 48 back AT-AT Commander, clear blister. It was punched and it did have a price sticker, but man, that's a beautiful item. It was graded 80 plus by AFA. You can see that here. 80, 85, 80 were the sub scores. But I always love the Revenge of the Jedi card backs. I just think they're really pretty. And I thought that price was pretty fair for what it was. It sold for $391 with $9 shipping. So, beautiful example. Here was a 48 back Return of the Jedi transition card free Neonum offer. This was a Princess Leia Hoff. Yellow blister, which does happen with these Return of the Jedi card backs. A little bit of a crease up there by the hang tab, and it did have a price sticker. But it was listed for $330 plus $5 shipping, and it did not last long. It sold very, very quickly after being listed. But I remember seeing that. I was like, ooh, that's a pretty good deal there. So probably an overall 75 plus is my guess, just because of that bad crease. But beautiful transition, Princess Leia Organa in her Hoff outfit. Here was a 65 back B Star Destroyer Commander, or Death Squad Commander if you feel like talking dirty. And it was a clear blister. Really nice example. It was graded 75 by Collector Archive Services. 75, 75, 80 were the sub scores. But tough to find those 65 backs with a clear blister. That one sold for $350 on 19 bids plus $10 shipping. Pretty good deal. There were a couple of Luke Jedis that sold. This one is the least expensive. There's an ungraded one that I got to show you here in a second, but this one was a 77 back A standard kind of Luke. It was graded 60, 80, 90 for the sub scores, and it did have quite a bit of litho damage from someone trying to take off that price sticker, unfortunately. Yellow blister. That one still sold for $450 though, plus $30 shipping, so pretty good price. But this one was the big surprise, and a number of you reached out to me about this, so thank you for sharing. But you know, it was not a clear blister. It looks clear, but it did have some yellowing. But I've been told by some of the Luke experts that this was a fairly rare one with the free Emperor offer kind of banner down there at the bottom. It did have a pretty prominent crease in the upper left hand corner, and it was close to clear. It was a close to clear blister, but this one was made in Hong Kong, so it's a Hong Kong figure. But I've been told that this particular, I don't know for a fact, I'm not a Luke Jedi expert, but I've been told that this particular card back for Luke Skywalker is pretty tough to find, and the price, I guess, reflected that. It sold for $911.86 for an ungraded 65 back Emperor offer Luke Jedi. Wow, big number. Here was a beautiful 77 back A R2d2. It was listed as a yellowed blister. I don't know why. It looks clear as day to me, but what do I know? I'm just really surprised that has a yellow designation on the label. But anyways, it was graded 80, 80, 80, 85 were the sub scores. 77 back A R2d2 sensor scope. That sold for $599. $599 plus shipping. You guys will remember this one. This was a CAS 80 plus Palatoy Tri-Logo Tebow. This one I featured in my video about stuff on eBay that I would buy right now. And this was one of the ones I really wanted. And it looks like one of y'all listened to me, because this one did sell shortly after my video premiered. I'm not saying it could be someone else that didn't watch my videos, but a number of the items that were in my video did sell. So I think that was interesting. And I think whoever bought this got a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. It was on my watch list for a little bit, and I think, you know, 80, 80, 85, overall 80 plus for a Palatoy Tri-Logo Chibo. I mean, that's a beautiful example. That blister is gorgeous for a Tri-Logo. So $395, free shipping, took that one home. That's a pretty good price. I'm glad someone picked that up. And we got a few last 17 here before we dig into one final beautiful Brazilian figure. This was an EV99 Power of the Force. This was graded yellowed 80, but you can see that the blister on this one was pretty close to clear. That's an exception for the EV99. Usually this one gets pretty heavily yellowed, but this is pretty darn close to a clear blister. And the price reflected that. It sold for $788 US or 986 Canadian dollars. That's a beautiful example though for a Power of the Force EV99, unpunched, really, really gorgeous. That was a very tempting item there. Here was a more heavily yellowed blister, A-Wing pilot on the same card back. This one was graded AFA 85, and this one sold for $550 plus shipping. That's a pretty good price, but again, you know, that blister is pretty darn yellow, so it's hard to see the figure that well. Here was another one that I had to show you guys. This was an AFA 80 Han Solo in Carbonite. A beautiful last 17, and what's unique about this one is that it was a clear blister. Clear blister, overall 80, and it looks every bit clear. I mean, look how beautiful that is. That is a gorgeous unpunched example of the Han Solo in Carbonite clear blister. It was listed for $2,200 and it sold for $1,900. $1,900 took that one home with a clear blister Han Solo in Carbonite. A few other last 17 here was an ungraded, or excuse me, a loose graded AFA 85 Luke Skywalker in his battle poncho. This is an older style case, but that one still sold for $300 in an auction, 29 bids plus $9 shipping. Again, we've seen examples with the newer case style for that same grade sell for closer to $500 to $550. So, you know, this is clearly a case of an older case style, not that attractive relative to some of the cases that AFA puts out now, or CAS or UKG, some of the newer cases. So I think that's the main thing. You know, to me, this is a good example of a figure I'd probably send back into AFA to have it recased with a newer case style. And then the same figure on a mint on card. This was an AFA 85, same seller as the A-Wing pilot. You know, again, a yellowed blister. That one sold for $793 on 24 bids. Big price there. Finally, I had to show you this one. This is one that Blacked Out Ewoks over on YouTube and I were watching pretty closely. It did have a pretty prominent tear, but this is the Glasslite R2d2 pop-up, and the pop-up saber R2d2 from the Droids cartoon. But it had that big prominent tear there, and that's what kept the score down for the card score. The subgrades were 55, 70, 80, and this was UKG graded 60% overall. But a gorgeous Brazilian Glasslite card back, just absolutely gorgeous. You can see the beautiful card art there. There's the Glasslite, however you pronounce it, logo. It's got what's his name, From, I can't remember his name, Sice From, not Sice From, but the other guy. You got Boba Fett, and then C-3PO and R2D2 on that awesome card art. Just awesome. George Dusat. How cool is that? So that one sold for $2,394 US or 1827 British pounds. Big number in an auction, but very cool to see that. Here's the back of the card back. I'll show you that as well. Absolutely gorgeous. There's Vlix. Vlix is his name. Vlix. I can never remember his name. And there's Tig From, and then some of the vehicles that came in that very small line. But beautiful card back for that Brazilian Glasslite R2D2. But anyway, big prices for a number of these items, and I hope you enjoyed taking a look at some of these recent sales prices. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. I hope that everyone's doing well, and I'll talk to you soon.